Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining PlanFees today for our webinar, The Importance of Fee Benchmarking Post-Coronavirus or COVID-19. We have a great webinar today. We're going to be taking you through some great information as well as a demo of PlanFees. And we wanted to do this webinar, and we've been getting a lot of requests from advisors and folks in the industry because even though we've been dealing with market volatility and dealing with CARES Act, a lot of the webinars and the experts have been talking about having a fiduciary process, right? ERISA never sleeps. And the importance of having a sound fiduciary process, whether that's for fee benchmarking, investment analysis, fiduciary governance, participant education, having that process is going to be extremely important after this times of turbulence. If you talk to the experts out there, and as we all know, working in this industry and working as advisors, we all know that when times are good, employees aren't really paying attention to their 401k plans. But in times of market turbulence and volatility like we're seeing right now, especially when their accounts take a hit, that's when we start to see a more attention being paid to the performance of their plan. And then after that, more litigation and plaintiffs' lawsuits, and every single major piece of litigation that's happened in recent memory always revolves around fees. So fee benchmarking is extremely important during this time. So today we're going to be talking about who we are. We're going to be talking about building a prudent benchmarking process, and we're going to be talking about how to position fee benchmarking of any type with your clients and your prospects. Well, my name is Jesse Taylor. I'm co-founder of Head of Innovation. That picture of me, that is a marriage, 2 kids, and a pandemic ago. So that's a little dated. About me, I just wanted to be a little, share a little information, especially as we're separated virtually, doing these webinars and virtual events. I just thought I'd share a little bit of background about who I am. My first job was in high school at a TPA shop. It was my dad's. And I've been in the 401k business really my whole life. It's in my blood. My entire family is in it. All of our spouses hate talking to us at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and I'm sure many of you can share that. This is a big family business. Everyone, industry. Advisors I talk to all the time work with their children, with their brothers or sisters or siblings, cousins. So I am part of that big extended 401k family. And now I'm still technically a millennial, but I'm in my 3rd decade of working in the 401k industry. I have a passion for helping advisors. Since I've been working specifically on this side of the house and working with advisors, sales, marketing, technology, that's been my only goal in my entire career, has been about helping advisors grow their business. Like I said, building technology, really starting with fee benchmarking applications, and it's come full circle to where we are now, launching PlanFees earlier this year. A little personal side, I love the beach, but I can't surf. I live in Southern California in Orange County, so I get to look at all the surfers, but I don't actually take advantage of it. And I have a wife, 2 kids, and no dog. And I just seem to be stepping on Legos every single day of my life. I'm sure many of you can understand that same challenge. So enough about me, and on to my quarantine tips. So over the past couple of months doing these webinars, I've given little tidbits and a little help. I help my employees and my team. I love looking at stuff out there, consuming all the information. So I would say I love this meme, right? There's 2 kinds of people in the world. There's those with an empty mailbox on their phone, and then there's me with 13,678 notifications. So this is a great time to catch up on emails, projects, call your family, your friends that you haven't talked to in a while. It's a really nice time to connect, even if it's over the phone or FaceTime. Another tip is about networking, right? So network with your referral sources, CPAs, audit firms, DCIOs, record-keeping wholesalers, people within the industry, other advisors that you might have a study group with. This is a wonderful time to connect and come up with ideas, right? So that leads to the next tip, having structure. This is a wonderful time to build a foundation for marketing plans, drip campaigns, workflows, your social media. There's a whole host of things that you could be doing to build structure right now. I know you all are busy. We're dealing with clients. Quarterly reviews are coming up, but this is still a wonderful time to start building that structure for what's going to happen moving forward. And lastly, get your Marie Kondo on, declutter. My wife, she actually started a home decluttering business with one of her girlfriends just before the pandemic hit. So they were getting some traction and it's gone off. But the practices that she follows, that she gives, are fantastic. And whether that's in your office, your computer, your home, the center console of my car took a really nice deep cleaning earlier this week. It's relieves stress, and whether that's from a work perspective, a life perspective, declutter your mind. So many of you might know who we are. We've been doing these webinars. You got our email. Hopefully you checked out our website or LinkedIn page to learn a little bit about who we are. But here's a little bit about PlanFees. We are a subscription fintech platform. We are backed by industry vets and have a great advisory council with folks with more than 200 collective years working in investments, ERISA, plan governance, plan design on the advisory side, technology side. This app helps you fulfill your fiduciary responsibilities and those fiduciary responsibilities of your clients. We aim, and our goal of our entire program is to help solve the current challenges when it comes to benchmarking, and we'll get into those. Our report and our system produces accurate, on-demand, and revealing fee benchmarking reports, and ultimately what we try to do is save you time so you can grow your business. You'll see our logo, right? This nice little icon. It's a prism. We call our benchmarking universe the prism universe of averages. Our fee benchmarking, what it does is we use that prism as kind of that guide. And what a prism does is it breaks up light into component parts. And that's what our system does, is it takes a total plan cost, helps shed light on the areas of concern when it comes to investments, record keeping, TPA, and advisory fees. One of our core tenets at PlanFees is about being accurate. So what we do is we first take verified and accurate data that we capture from TPAs, advisory platforms, tech platforms, record keepers, and advisors. Over 60,000 plans crunched in. That represents over $500 billion in assets, plans of all types and sizes, industries all across the country, a very broad spectrum of retirement plans within our universe. We also are very customized. You can cut, as we'll see in just a bit with the demo, you can customize the bands, whether that's assets, participants, decide what to show and how to show it with your clients. We've taken ideas and feedback from advisors over the past couple of years to build this program specific to the needs to help you in your servicing and your sales. One of our other core tenets is being on demand. We want to be fast. We want to be quick. We like to call the PlanFees process the 2-minute benchmark, and it works on your web, on mobile device, and it literally takes 2 minutes to build this report. Again, we want to save you time so you can spend that time elsewhere, whether that's consulting, working on your business, or meeting with clients. And our last tenet is being revealing. We want to reveal areas of concern so you and your clients can make informed, data-driven decisions when it comes to the service provider selection and monitoring. So in this webinar, what we really want to do is talk about building a prudent benchmarking process and a little bit of background. So most of you know this, being in the industry, that fees traditionally have been one of the 3 F's, right? Funds, fees, fiduciary. And that's kind of a classic way of looking at what we should do as advisors. But a lot, really now, we talk about process. And it's important when you're building a fiduciary process to make sure that everything is sound and you're doing it the best ways possible, right? So when it comes to fees, we all know that service providers must provide fee disclosures every year. And as an advisor or as a plan, as a fiduciary, you have to determine whether those fees are reasonable. a big challenge is we don't really know what is reasonable. There's really no clear definition to state what is reasonable. So there's a variety of different methods, reports, ideas, processes that you can follow to help your clients determine that reasonableness. When we look at a cycle, the best practices out there from ERISA attorneys, from industry experts and leaders, talk about providing a benchmarking annually, and then a live bid RFP or a provider analysis every 3 to 5 years, or as plan demographics change significantly within a plan. The challenge becomes that annual benchmark. Most advisors I talk to are not providing this because there's really hasn't been an efficient or cost-effective way to provide this, and it's just too much work. So advisors will try to cobble something together, get information from a service provider, but now more than ever, because of potential litigation coming down the pipeline, but also competitors are leading with fees and fee benchmarking. And with the prevalence of some of the quick and easy proposal tools that are out there now, it's even easier for advisors to come in and offer fee benchmarking to your clients. So from a defensive standpoint, getting on top of that, getting out in front of the fee conversation is extremely important. So let's look at fee benchmarking today. What are those challenges, right? So it takes too long to produce. There's a lot of tools out there that it takes too long, whether you're doing the live bid or if you're even doing a more in-depth benchmarking, getting dozens and dozens of data points and days or weeks of back and forth with a provider. It's just too much time, and you have more important things to do. Another problem is inaccurate data sources. So the data out there might not be the most accurate, might be pulling all index-based funds, or advisors who don't provide the level of service that you do. Some tools, they're really expensive. And if you're, especially in today, you're cost conscious, you need to be able to have an affordable and effective scalable tool. Or, it's 2020, we're talking over Zoom, we're broadcasting virtually, and the most prevalent fee benchmarking resource out there is a paper book. So I think it's time to upgrade into the new decade. This is a fun slide that I've been having on my whiteboard for a number of years now. And when I look at the space of advisor fintech and retirement fintech, and when it comes to benchmarking, there's a spectrum. So you have your 4 quadrants here. And on the x-axis, you have its time. So on the left, you have a time suck. On the right, is it fast? Is it quick? The y-axis at the top, you're going to have a compelling report that leads to results. And at the bottom, a not compelling report, or a useless report, really. And with fee benchmarking, you can get there in quadrant 4, where it's fast, but essentially useless. They're easy to use, but it might not lead to the desired results and deeper conversations that you need to have, either to keep the door open in the sales process or lead to better fees, enhanced fees, or services with your clients. So in that realm, you can say, if you're looking at that easy tool, Google how much does my 401k cost, and there might be some tools or services out there on NerdWallets or other sources that someone could search. Or, like we talked about, the 401k book of averages. Up there in quadrant 1, those are going to be more compelling resources, meaning those are going to have the best desired results that you would have with your client, but they take more time away from you. These are going to be the homemade spreadsheets. Most advisors I talk to, they're cobbling something together, building their own spreadsheet, building their own report. And while it is effective, you're going to be able to communicate those the fees and how something breaks down, or recommend an alternative service provider or a benchmark. It's going to take up the most amount of your time. It's not going to lead overall to the results that you want, because one, you might not have all the necessary data on a service provider, or the calculations when it comes to evaluating revenue sharing or other fees like that. In that same realm, you're going to have the live bid systems. Those are the ones you can have through our PAG, FI360. There might be some others out there, and those are going to be the more in-depth live bids, expensive, more time-consuming, probably done every 3 to 5 years, take multiple weeks of back and forth and a lot of detail. anywhere from, let's say, 30 to 70 pages. They're great, but they're still, they're still not that perfect system. Then you have somewhere down in the middle, it's a really good report, but it doesn't actually lead to any change. And this is the challenge, that these are the ones that are usually a little quicker, they're good, they're more detailed, but at the end of it, you don't really know where you stand with a client. It won't, and most of the time you either have to bring out your own spreadsheet or go back into one of the live bid systems. So that's going to be some of those in-depth benchmarking tools out there that take dozens and dozens of data points, calculate, dozens of different benchmarks and information. It's really nice, really beautiful, a lot of great info, but doesn't lead to that, to those desired results that you're looking for. Recently, there's been a handful of quick proposal systems out there. One that we partnered with and seen a lot, 401kplans.com, is really nice. There are a few others, and those are going to be in the vein of the live bid in-depth proposals, but they're not, but they don't have as much detail. They're fast. They're good generally for the smaller plan, done every 1 to 3 years. So really nice tools out there, and we can give you recommendations for that. But I think where every tool provider out there in this space, and whether you're looking at investments or fees or fiduciary governance, and you guys are all inundated with emails and marketing for them, the holy grail is to have an extremely compelling system that's also fast and efficient to create. That's where we strive to get to with our tool. But PlanFees, we're humble. We're not going to really say where we are on that. Oh, wait, sorry, mistake. Moving on. So at PlanFees, our benchmarking tool pulls from a universe of similar plans. We have over 60,000 plans in our universe, customizable bands, as we'll show in a little demo. And this can be done, is a really great way to produce that benchmark for you annually or on demand when needed. And as an advisor, you can have access to this unlimited report. So really low cost when you look at the volume that most advisors are doing. So far since launch, advisors are averaging about 150 reports being generated per month that are using our system. So really high utilization. They're doing it for their book of business. They're producing one for all of their prospects. So really, really nice way that in under 2 minutes to produce a benchmark. So whatever tool you're using, whether you're using a tool like PlanFees or some of the live bid proposals or simple proposals out there, it's all about positioning. You have a tool, you have technology. As an advisor, you probably have a whole stack of different technologies for investments and benchmarking. But it's about how do you position it. And in other webinars, we've talked about sales and marketing, but let's just kind of take it through an example of what you should be doing when you're talking with a client or a prospect and talking about fee benchmarking. So with meeting prep, the first step really with any fee benchmarking is looking at the 5,500. This could be done through Larkspur, free ERISA. There's a variety of other sources. Talk to your wholesaler. Call us if you're looking for a solution. We have a partnership with Larkspur. And these are great, but not all fees are fully disclosed, but you're going to be able to get really good information, name of the plan, number of participants, total plan assets. You may even be able to oftentimes find the fund lineup and even a decision maker. And once you get there, there's really good information. You can reach out to them. You can talk to them. A tool that we've used a lot is when you're having those conversations with a prospect is you want to make sure that you have the most current data. So any sort of data or fact finding that you can do once you're having those conversations is fantastic. And the best would be get a fee disclosure or forward B2. A really cool part of PlanFees is we have cool tech called optical character recognition where you can scan that fee disclosure into our tool and it'll pull out the necessary fields in order to get that benchmarking. So let's take an example here of a benchmarking that we worked with an advisor recently. This is a professional services firm, over 200 participants, nearly $12 million in plan assets. And the process that we went with this was we wanted to identify direct and indirect revenue and quantify and compare it to the marketplace, and then see if we needed to take it out to bid. So the objectives, right, we want to isolate where and how provider receives comp and determine if record-keeping fees are reasonable. We were able to use a 5500 source to get the names of the funds and their asset classes. And this particular client was using an index-based low-cost solution, very interesting. And then through the fee disclosure, you can see in the red box, we're able to identify what seemed to, but in our thought, was a high asset-based charge. So, high record-keeping fees. And we wanted to determine if, the fees were in line or where we can go for areas of concern. So if you look at most benchmarks, benchmarking tools, they might say, okay, here's your plan and here's a low, average, or high, or maybe some tools are just an average, or it might say 25th percentile or 75th percentile. And if you were looking at this, you'd say the current plan, all in 122 basis points, not too much higher than the average, in line, maybe just a little area of negotiation or to bring down the cost to be in line. But we're running through the PRISM benchmark on plan fees, and these color codes coordinate with investment fees, record-keeping fees, and advisory fees. So in blue, and we'll see in the report, these are the record-keeping fees. And so we were saying, wow, there's a very high proportionate percentage of these funds compared to the market going to record-keeping. Through plan fees, we break it down even more. So here, this is where you can go, right? A very low investment, low cost investments, that's great. But when you look at it for record keeping, there's over $40,000 in potential cost savings compared to the market. So why is this record keeper receiving so much more in compensation and fees for doing the same work that maybe another record keeper can do? So using this tool, doing it as a diagnostic with this client, helped us take it out to the market. And so using PRISM here, it says 80 basis points as the low, 104 basis points as the median, or as the average. And what we did is then took it out, worked with the advisor, took it out to market, and they captured the bids. And the competitive average there, I think, was around $115,000 in a competitive standpoint. So just a little bit lower than the average. And you all know, as advisors, through your negotiating power, you can get those favorable pricing. So what we did is we used plan fees first as that diagnostic, understand where we want to go and negotiate, and find a record keeper that might be a better demographic and service fit for that particular client. So it's a little case study, a little example. What we're going to do now is take you through the little 2-minute benchmark demo of our site. So I'm going to pass it over to David Gantz. He's our benchmarking guru, and he's going to take us through a little demo. David?
Great. Thanks so much, Jesse. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And now what you're seeing here is the PlanFees site. So as Jesse mentioned, a really quick, really efficient, but really powerful report to help you with performing fee benchmarking for your clients. Getting into the site's as simple as going to planfees.com, logging in, and then you're going to be taken to an interface that looks just like this. Now, the site itself is also equally as simple as you would see with the output of the report. There you have the options here to go in and access your existing reports or benchmark your own plan. When we access our existing reports, we can see them all listed here. Make edits, delete them, re-download from there, or you can start a new report up here in the top right. And as Jesse mentioned, the data points necessary to run this report are extremely minimal. You'll put in your client's name, the plan type, and then whether or not they have a TPA. This is actually going to segment our universe as well. So Jesse talked about that 60,000 data point database that we have available through PlanFees. And selecting whether or not they have a TPA will compare only bundled plans to bundled plans and unbundled to unbundled. You see here as well that there are two options for how you get that data in. You can either enter the data in yourself, or like Jesse mentioned earlier, we have this ability for the OCR technology to scan a fee disclosure as well. So with this, you would just click on this button. You would either upload the photo or, if you're using the mobile app on your phone, you can just snap a picture of it as well. And then the system will do its best to read that information and upload it straight into this report. But as you can see, even if you're going to enter in the data yourself, what you need to actually put in here is extremely minimal. It's 5 data points, 6 if there's a TPA, is everything that you need from start to finish. So you'll put in here the plan assets, the number of participants, the investment expense, record keeping cost, and advisory fee. And that's what's required from start to finish. So you can actually toggle here as well. If, for example, you're charging a flat fee for your advisory, you can toggle to $1 here and type that in directly rather than having to put it in as a percentage and format it out to, 10 decimal places or whatever you might need to get it exact. And then once you have that data in there, you'll click this button to create the PRISM benchmark. And then our system is going to pull in a universe of similar plans to compare this one against. So in my example here, we're looking at a $5 million plan. So our universe is between 3.5 and 6.5 million, with our benchmark universe of 2,300 plans of similar size. Now there's a couple of things to note here. One is that our universe is centered around where our plan is at today. So with our $5 million plan, we're looking at $1.5 million in either direction. We thought this was important because a lot of other systems out there have predefined buckets where maybe our $5 million plan would be in a bucket from $5 million to $10 million. And that's probably not a representative sample for a plan that's exactly at $5 million. What you'll also see is that these are sliders. So these are where you can actually adjust that universe based on what you want to see. So if we want to make this a little bit more broad, instead of looking at 3.5 million on the lower end, we want to go to 3 million. Now suddenly our benchmark universe jumps from 2,300 plans up to 2,800 plans. Same thing on the upper end here. If we go up to 7 million, now our benchmark universe is at 3,000 plans that we're comparing against. So a really efficient way for you to get exactly where you're trying to go with the story you're telling to this client or prospect. And down at the bottom of the page here, we see sort of a high-level overview, a preview of what that report's output's going to look like. We have our plan's total cost and per participant. And then you see the comparison here to the low, average, and high benchmarks that we're taking a look at. So here you can just see, generally our total cost is a little bit higher than the average, but underneath the high. But we'll obviously break that into more depth on the output. Something else to note here is that you can see little check boxes above each of these benchmarks. You actually have the ability to include or exclude any of those that you would like. For example, with prospects, maybe you don't want to show them the low end of the universe. You want to show them just the average and the high to get an idea of what they could be paying. Maybe for an existing client, if you're trying to do just a routine fee benchmarking, you can leave just the average in there so that they're only comparing against the roughly 50th percentile of plans in their size. But once you've made those selections, your job's done. You would go down here, you click this button to download the report. Like I showed you, very simple from start to finish. I mean, I went through it explaining every single step in great detail, and it probably took me 5 minutes for the whole thing. But what I want to do just quickly is show you the output of this report quickly as well. Like the input, very simple, straightforward, but still allows you to tell a really powerful story to plan sponsors. Here's the output. As you can see, it's 5 pages long, and that includes both a title page and a disclosure at the back. The bottom right will have your logo here. This is just going to be PlanFees for the sample, but this will be your company logo down in the bottom. And then we'll have obviously your prospect or client's name here, as well as your name there on the front. When we start off, we start out pretty general, where we have our plan info in the top left, the benchmark info in the top right, and then we show our plan versus the low, average, and high from a dollar perspective. Here we're looking at total cost, investments, record keeping, and per participant fee, and how those compare across the board. Then as we move on, you get to this section that Jesse showed in his presentation, where we see a breakdown of those fees in more detail. We're seeing our plan's investments, record keeping, total fees per participant, as well. We've now added an advisory on top of that. We see it as both a percentage and a dollar here, so you can compare it from both lenses. And then down at the bottom, we just have a quick fee breakdown showing roughly what your plan is comprised of, how it compares to the other plans in the universe. But then, in my opinion, the most powerful page is this last one that you see here. So for this one, what we're doing, as you can see, is comparing the different components of that overall cost in a really quick and visual way to show to plan sponsors. So what you're seeing here in this example is that our investments and our record keeping fee are up on the high end, while our advisory fee is right at about the average. And this is a great opportunity to really position your advisory services based on what your results are here. So in this case, if you're with a prospect, their record keeping fee is really high. This is a great opportunity to offer to do a live bid benchmarking. You know, hey, we saw that your record keeping fees looked really high. We'd love to take you out to bid to be able to see what potential cost savings there are for you there. You know, same thing with the investments. Your investments look to be up on the high end. What can we do about exploring some more efficient share classes for you, or even potentially moving to a different platform at your same record keeper, for example, to be able to get you access to some lower cost funds. So at the end of the day, this report's just a really useful conversation starter, a nice way to position yourself and your advisory services to prospects, a nice way to check the boxes that for the annual fee reasonableness assessment for your current clients as well. And just all in all, a really nice, efficient, compelling report to present to plan sponsors overall. So to access PlanFees, the easiest way is just to go to planfees.com. And right there in the center of the page, you'll see a button there to sign up today. That's going to give you instant access to going in and starting to run these reports like Jesse mentioned. That gives you access to run as many as you would like to from start to finish. And Jesse, if you want to go ahead and share the presentation again, you can also reach out to me directly. So my contact info is david.gantz@planfees.com. So you'll see my information there. My phone number is 949-305-3718. I'm more than happy to do a one-on-one demo with you and with your teams to be able to show you the technology in more detail, answer any questions that you have. But again, you can also just visit planfees.com, access some information there, sign up directly on the website, or feel free to reach out to me with any questions.
Thank you, David, and thank you all. And like David said, we're happy to give you a demo, show you the tool, send you a report if you'd like. And this tool is really built for advisors, by advisors. We're happy to show, we'd love to show it to you and see how it can work within your practice. As well as we have some other great resources. If you need anything about, COVID or CARES Act, we have some really nice resources for you there. Or if you just need to talk about benchmarking, we're always happy to do that with you. So thank you all very much for your time. Stay safe, stay healthy, continue to provide your invaluable services to your clients. And so thank you very much. And David and I are going to stick around. If anyone has any questions or Q&A, we'll be staying around for a few more minutes. But if not, go about your day and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.